let's talk about lab work. If you are reading the blog post and looking at the test order, you're thinking, man, what do I look at? How do I read my own lab work, etc. And here's the thing. This isn't medical advice, but this is something that you're going to learn the hard way. When you go see a doctor, you're going to say, hey, doctor, I want all these lab tests done, and assuming it's covered under insurance. The doctor will do it. And then what you're going to say is, well, hey man, how's my blood work? And he'll say, oh, everything's good. And you'll say, okay, well, what does that mean? You know, what range am I at? Oh, everything looks good. And then if you ask to actually see your blood work, they might not let you see it. That's why I just prefer to order my own labs, do this all by myself. The doctors, they just don't have time to sit down and actually talk about this stuff with you guys. It sucks, but it is what it is. So here's what we're going to look at right now. Right now, we're just going to look at a few key factors, and we'll talk about cholesterol and stuff in a separate video cast. Right now, I just want to talk about TRT and blood work. Right here, we're looking at the female hormone panel testing that I linked to on the site. That's the cheapest one at $62. I think there's a coupon code HEALTHY12 that'll save you 12%. So all in, you're looking at, $59. I get this done a couple of times a year. I also got my vitamin D level done, so you can get blood tests a la carte. You can say, I want the female hormone panel, and I also want to check my vitamin D level. So my vitamin D level is at 45. I haven't been getting enough sun. 45 is a pretty good level. I want to know what it was. So ignore that gunk here. So let's look at what really matters for TRT. Let's look at testosterone, luteinizing hormone, follicle-stimulating hormone, that's what FSH means, and estradiol, or also called E2. If you look at it, you're going to get a number, and then you're going to get a reference range. Here's the big reference range. So for testosterone, the reference range is 348 to 1197. That means, based on how their lab's done, 348 is low, 1197 is high. So you'll go to your doctor, and you'll get your test done, and you'll be at 349, and the doctor will say, hey man, you're awesome. Your testosterone levels are normal. And you'll say, what the fuck does normal mean, man? Well, normal means that if you're at 349 or 400, you're at like the bottom 10% of the patient out. All right, what does this tell us? Well, if we look at it, this tells us that the person's on TRT. Well, how do we know it? Well, the testosterone level's high, but maybe the person is just a gorilla and has abnormally high testosterone. But you look at luteinizing hormone and you look at follicle-stimulating hormone, and those are both low. What that means is that there's an exogenous source of testosterone. How do we know that? Well, the body, luteinizing hormone is what signals your body to produce testosterone. The pituitary gland tells your testes, make test. Follicle-stimulating hormone, the pituitary gland tells your testes, make sperm. So this guy likely is going to have a low sperm count, and he's not producing any natural testosterone levels at all. The guy's on TRT. Estradiol, that's estrogen levels, or it'll be sometimes called E2. This is an important factor guys got to follow because it's going to tell you if you need to look into Arimidex or other anti-estrogens. This is at 42.6. If you look at the range, that's at the high end of the range. Does this guy have high estrogen? Should he take Arimidex? Should he look into other aromatase inhibitors? Should he look at SERMs, exemestane? What's going on? Maybe, maybe not. 42 is still fine. You would want to ask yourself, do I have puffy nipples? Am I holding water? Am I moody? Am I estrogeny? If not, you don't really need aromatase inhibitors or SERMs, but here's what I would say. This is at 42.6. I happen to know that this guy is carrying around 10 to 15 pounds of excess body fat. Fat is estrogenic. If this person, again, not medical advice, if this person said, my estrogen's at 42.6, do I need Arimidex? I would say pinch above your belt line. Can you pinch fat? If so, you don't take another pill. You need to you need to lose some fat, bro. a lot of people are going to have high estrogen even if they're not on TRT. Some of you might be saying, well, this is great. This guy's already on TRT. How do I know to read my labs if I want to get on TRT? Well, that's where you look at if you're naturally low luteinizing hormone or naturally low follicle stimulating hormone, then you might just be able to run HCG, and that might kickstart your body's natural production, and you might not actually need TRT. That's why I said this stuff gets complicated. If your testosterone, you get your testosterone levels measured, and you're at, say, 600-700, that's slightly above average. You might say, hey, slightly above average testosterone works for me. That's good. So learn how to read the range. A couple other things I'll talk about just because I know people are going to ask. AST and ALT, what is that? Those are liver function markers. It tells you how well your liver is, the health of your liver. These are high. Why are they high? It could be high because the person's on oral steroids. It could be high because the person drinks a lot. If you train really intensely with weights, it could be high because of a hard workout. I happen to know this person had a really hard HIIT workout that's very destructive on muscle fibers. That's going to be reflected in your liver count. So it's not unusual for strength athletes and people who train hard in the gym to have liver counts up to twice the range. Now, that's something you still want to watch. That's why blood work is an ongoing process. It's just a snapshot in time. You should get blood work done regularly so that you understand what's going on and you can see how things change over time. Looking at this, what would you say? Well, if you're doing TRT through your doctor might think, well, 1457, that's high. I don't want you outside of range, and he might cut your dose. 1500 is completely natural. Well, it's obviously not natural, but it's a completely normal, okay testosterone level. So this blood work, I would say, is good to go. This person is on TRT. He's not having any estrogenic side effects. Maybe we'll eyeball these liver counts. And otherwise, I think it's cool. So this wraps up the first video cast, which is just talking about TRT and estrogen levels. And the next one, we're going to talk about cholesterol, fasting glucose, insulin levels, IGF-1 levels, and much more. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and that's a wrap.